Welcome back to On the Clock, our show about making the moments matter. I'm your host, Elisa Gums. Today, we're chatting about how to travel like a pro with world traveler Denella Ri'Chard, who hosts the award-winning, nationally syndicated television show, Traveling with Denella. Denella, we're so excited to have you here on the Clock. How are you today?
I am wonderful, Elisa. So happy to be here with you.
Before we get into what you do now, and of course, share some of your expert travel advice, I would love to go back to the beginning of your passion for travel. Do you remember how you first got bit by the travel bug?
Absolutely, I do. Well, first and foremost, I was blessed enough to come from a family with a mother and father who loved to travel very early in life. So I went to Disney when I was still in my mother's womb. So that's my first documented trip before the birth of life for Denella. But my family always traveled. But honestly, what really sparked my passion was when I was a senior at Southern University, historically black college and university. I had an opportunity to study abroad with Syracuse University in Harare, Zimbabwe. So I went away to study for a semester in Zimbabwe. And this was early 1995. I left in January of 1995. And in neighboring South Africa, there was a new president by the name of Nelson Mandela. And he was one of my inspirations to want to live in Southern Africa. So I took that opportunity, went to live with a family in Harare, Zimbabwe, and just fell in love with it, fell in love with the people, fell in love with the culture. Also, in that program, even though the program was through Syracuse, we had quite a few students from HBCUs, including Spelman. So I made some friends for life that were there, but we were studying things like African politics, African feminism. And then on the weekends, our professor, which was a guy by the name of Horace Campbell, he would always take us on trips. So we had a chance to go into South Africa and other neighboring countries on the weekend and really be immersed in the culture. I mean, to the point of even going into some of the villages, right? Where we had to interact with the people. And I remember arriving at one of the villages we visited, and I was the smallest one in the group. And they said their tradition was that as part of their welcome, the smallest one in the group would get a chance to sacrifice the meal, which was a goat.
Oh, wow.
So I was tasked with the challenge of not only preparing the meal, but yeah, sacrificing the goat. Needless to say, I couldn't do that. I had to pull in one of my male counterparts who was able to do that. But that's what you call cultural immersion.
Yes, for
Okay.
sure.
So from there, living in Zimbabwe, I fell in love with the continent. I fell in love with Africa and everything it had to offer. And having a chance to have that experience with other students, not only from, like I said, other HBCUs in that same program, we also had students from Duke as well as Yale. So it was a great diverse mix of people. But once I had that international travel bug, of living abroad,
That was
oh,
it.
I was hooked. I was hooked.
You have done so much in the travel industry. You've been an entrepreneur, creating startups and having your own travel agency. And you've worked as an executive for some of the biggest names in travel, like Hilton, Carnival, Norwegian. How did you build such an illustrious career in the travel industry?
Wow. So, as I mentioned, I went to Southern University. When I graduated from Southern, I actually went to work in television production for a few years. But again, that travel bug hit me. And I really wanted to go back into, working in the travel industry. So I originally started working for an online travel company. And from that first online travel company, it opened an opportunity for me to help go and launch a startup company in Brussels, Belgium. So I was a part of an initial startup team. So I went to live in Brussels as an expat for 3 years. Absolutely loved it. Spending my weekends in Paris and Amsterdam and London and, just living an amazing life as an expat. But when I came back to the States, new doors of opportunity opened, which allowed me to go to work for the Hilton brand. So I was a part of the global marketing team that launched Hampton internationally. So launching the Hampton by Hilton brand in Canada, in Latin America, in several parts of Europe. And then as we were taking the Hampton brand into Asia, I had an opportunity to take a position in the cruise industry. And that's where my career, took a new elevation. And I went to work for Norwegian Cruise Line, and then eventually going on to work for the Carnival Corporation Company, and with the Holland America brand.
Wow. And then when COVID hit, like many people, you had to pivot. What was that process like for you of reinventing your career within the travel industry?
Yes. So on March 13th, 2020, it became painfully obvious that the cruise industry was going to have to take a voluntary shutdown. And when that happened, we thought 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. We had no clue this was going to go on for a year. But in that process, the reality sunk in that we had to do, cutbacks, right? That we were going to have to do workforce reduction. As a part of that workforce reduction, my president, his position was impacted. My position was impacted, and I had to lay off a team of 40 people.
Wow.
So while we were all at home on lockdown, we couldn't go to church even. We couldn't go to the movies. We couldn't go to the bowling alley. We couldn't go anywhere, right? During that period of lockdown and really seeing the travel industry impacted and seeing, hundreds of thousands of people lose their jobs. So many of my friends lose their jobs. It was like, what can I do? What can I do? So I really wanted to find a way to still inspire people to travel. So at that time, I had a friend of mine that had launched an OTT, streaming type television platform. And he was like, and I knew him from my television days. He said, create a show. I'll give you a primetime spot. So I took that opportunity, and we created an at-home travel show at the time to inspire people to travel, to let them know, look, borders are locked down, but we're going to travel again. Well, just in launching those first few shows, it really caught traction. And then we were approached to take the television show to WSFL, the CW in South Florida, through a local advertising agency called the Wiggins Agency, who actually discovered the show and then brought us on to WSFL, and we formed a partnership. And from there, we went on into national syndication. So now the show can be seen in Seattle on weekends, on Saturday nights on NBC, right before Saturday Night Live. We're in, Indianapolis. We're in the Miami market still, and several other markets throughout the U.S. And you can also watch us. We're globally streaming. We're on GFN TV, which, if you have not checked it out, it is a Black urban streaming station. Absolutely awesome. You'll also see shows like D.L. Hughley's show there. So we're on GFN TV. We're on Tubi. We are on Go Traveler, and we just signed a deal with the American Forces Network, which is near and dear to my heart, because now military personnel and people working at the embassies can see our show in over 168 countries as well. So how did I pivot? I lost my job and I had to do something. And that something was create a television show. And lo and behold, honestly, what I really thought was just a way to inspire people to travel, and what I really thought was just a way to keep my name out there so I could go and get my job, ended up turning into a nationally syndicated global television show. And we are now going into our third year winning not only television Telly Awards, Magellan Awards, and we're rocking.
Yes.
So yeah, I lost my job. That's how I had to do something.
But I love that story because you say, I lost my job, I had to do something, but you went and did something that you love. And you have just talked us through the success that the show has had. What is the best part of your job?
Oh, the best part of my job is meeting the people in all the different places that we go around the world. One of the things that stuck with me when I went to live in Zimbabwe was making friends around the world, right? And realizing how we are so much alike and the same than we are different, right? And as we get a chance to meet people from different cultures, religions, and backgrounds, we realize that those things that we thought were differences that were keeping us apart we really start to realize we are so much alike. And it's breaking down those barriers of stigmatism, of racism, all those things that keep us apart. And as you travel the world, you know your viewpoint, your mindset opens up, right? Right. And so that that's what I love. That's what I love about travel.
In the trailer for your show, you say that everything we know about travel has changed. How is travel different post COVID?
I think one of the ways travel is different is that it is on the top of so many people's list of priorities that, and it may not have been before, right? So people are really seeing. COVID taught us, we got to get out here and live, because unfortunately a lot of lives were lost during COVID, right? There were a lot of things we had to go without for an extended period of time. So people are now saying they're getting out here and they're living their best life, and they want to travel and they want to see the world. And that's why you see through social media, you just see so many people, and especially Black people. It's so beautiful to see us like, hey, I'm in Thailand. Hey, I'm in London. It is just so beautiful, because I can remember, in 1995 when I started traveling the world, I had friends who were like, are you crazy? Why are you going to Africa? What are you doing? And honestly, even when I went to Africa, even in neighboring Rwanda at that time, the genocide was taking place. So it was an interesting time to be in Africa. So really, me and that original crew from Spelman, from the HBCUs that went to study abroad, we were like that original clique, right? That really opened the doors for other Black students and kids to see that, hey, get out here and travel the world. So that was over 20 years ago for us. So for me, for now, I see the younger generation out here living their best life. Man, it excites me. I am just thrilled about it.
And what do people who are just starting to travel again after these last 3 years at home need to know?
Oh, they need to know that it's safe to travel. So don't be afraid. Get out there and travel. There is one tip I will say: always get travel insurance, the medical insurance, when you do travel, though, because it's important you have it. Most of the time nothing is going to happen, but if it does, at least you have that travel insurance. And I'll tell you a quick story. A friend of mine, she specializes in accessible travel, so she is in a wheelchair. But this chick, she travels all around the world, and she's a travel agent, right? She travels all around the world. She goes everywhere. But last year she was in Dubai getting off the airplane. They broke her wheelchair. She ended up, once they broke her wheelchair, they gave her a loaner wheelchair. But that loaner wheelchair broke and caused her further injuries while she was in Dubai. Okay. She ended up in the hospital for several days. Long story short, thank God she had travel insurance, because she had travel insurance, they were able to leverage that policy and get her home safely. So I say that travel is safe, travel is fun, but we want you to be equipped with the right resources. So before you go anywhere, check the Department of State's website to see what they're saying about that country and to make sure it's a good time to visit that country. And on top of that, get travel insurance. It is very important. Me and my team, we don't go anywhere without having it, because it gives you that extra layer of protection as well as confidence. But get out there, travel. Don't be afraid. Go meet the people, eat the food, and don't be trying to look cute, okay? Because all the girls out there with the eyelashes and all this stuff, look, when you're traveling, it's gonna fall off. All right. I got people be like, if you're getting in the water, in my show, you've seen sometimes I jump in the water with sharks, I swim with stingrays, right? So you got to be comfortable. You can't have the eyelashes. Now, I do a ponytail now. I will throw on a ponytail, because that is very important when you're traveling. You need a little clip-on ponytail, girls. So, so you can move and shake quickly. But get out there, travel, see the world. And it really doesn't matter the stage, the age, where you are in your life. As long as you are healthy and you can get out there and do it, go see the world. And there's so much to be discovered. I promise you can make up a list, and that list will always continue to grow when it comes to travel. But the greatest thing about it is the memories that it creates.
You are one of the foremost experts on travel. As a matter of fact, you've just been named one of the most influential women in travel by Travel Pulse. So I want to do a little bit of a lightning round here. What is your best tip for travel on a budget?
Ooh, best trip for travel on a budget. Call a travel agent or travel advisor because they're always going to know about the best deals. A lot of people think that travel agents no longer exist since, we live in this online world. No, they are still going to be your best resource to tell you where the best deals and the best value. So call a travel advisor.
What's your best tip for women traveling solo?
Women traveling solo, always make sure somebody knows your location. So share your location so somebody always knows where you are, and check in with family, check in with friends regularly. Okay, so that's my best tip there.
And what's your best tip for people who really want to experience a different culture when they travel?
I would say the best tip is to seek authentic cultural experiences. So find that company that is going to really immerse you where if you're in Kenya, then you want to visit the Maasai's, okay? Go there and, visit, go to the village, see how they are actually living, eat the food. So find a company that offers the kind of cultural immersion tour that you're looking for. So whether it's somebody like a Globus or another company that I actually love and that we filmed with is called Exotica. They do a lot of culturally immersive experiences. So find the company that's going to give you that deep dive where you're going to actually go in and really interact with the people and not just gloss over it and give you a list of restaurants and a list of landmarks. Go meet the people, get to know them on a deeper level.
Speaking of culture, you mentioned earlier how important travel is to, breaking down boundaries between people. And, you believe that travel can really eradicate racism and discrimination because we learn to connect with each other. Um,
Yes.
you have broken through so many boundaries just with your representation as a Black woman in this industry, from entrepreneur to executive, and now very publicly as an influencer. Tell us about your work as an advocate for diversity in travel.
I think, we still have work that needs to be done. First, let me say this: the travel industry, by the nature of who we are diverse. We are made up of people all over the world from different countries, different religions, different backgrounds, right? So, by nature of who we are diverse. But there is work to be done when it comes to Black people, okay? And companies understanding in their advertising. We travel, we have money, right? We spend. So make sure that when you're doing your advertising campaign, show us in your ads because we want to see ourselves. And when it comes to those elevated positions in the C suite, those executive level positions, we exist. We exist. And do not default to, oh, well, we have diversity because look at all the white women that we have. And don't you see, we have this person who's from the LGBTQ community. Okay, that's all good. But I'm talking about the Black, the brown. And if you're having a problem with this in your organization, get out a color palette. Okay. And go into the Black and brown and just go down and say, okay, where's some Black and brown in my organization? And if you do not have Black and brown representation, then I challenge you to do better. And I'm not talking about the Black and brown representation, you know, as a hostess, or if they're working on ships, in the dining room, or if they're working in corporate in the reservations. No, 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 I'm talking about in the senior level, executive, management, C-suite positions. We exist. exist. Okay. So seek us out to make sure that we are a part of your interview process, right? And don't just default to hiring people you know and friends, because it is very important to have a diverse mix of people in your senior level of leadership. And you're not just all coming from the same background. You want those diverse points of view.
Yeah, absolutely. You've already shared some great advice on what travelers should do, but what are some of the things they shouldn't do? Like, what are some of the biggest or most common mistakes travelers make?
Some of the most common mistakes, going off with people they don't know. So it's nice to travel solo. I'm all about traveling solo. But if you are traveling solo, think of experiences like being on a cruise, right? Where you can easily make friends in a safe environment, or being a part of a tour group where you're merged with people, the same people who you'll be with all week, right? Or being at a resort where you can experience a variety of different things, restaurants as well as amenities, but you're not leaving that property. So as much as we want you to, get out and experience different things, safety first, right? So don't just run off with people you don't know, because you never know what can happen. And back to that point about travel insurance, don't go anywhere without travel insurance, because what a lot of people don't know is that your health insurance back in the United States will not cover you when you step out of the country. So even if you sprain an ankle and you have to go to the hospital, in most countries they're going to be asking you for cash money. Okay, so you better have a credit card that has enough on it so that you can charge it, or you better have travel insurance so that they can call that travel insurance company and they can say, we got you covered.
Yeah. You have been all over the world, you've lived abroad, and you've probably traveled by every means possible. What are some of your personal favorites? Either your favorite ways to travel, your favorite travel experiences, or your favorite destinations?
Wow. So, I have a surprising recent discovery, even for me. And we recently had a chance to film on a river cruise. And I'll be honest, I always thought river cruise, and I'm be honest, it was like, it's for old people, right? So we had a chance to film on Alma Waterways. And I absolutely fell in love with it. We had a chance to film the Danube. So we were in Germany, Austria, Slovakia, as well as Hungary. And it's like a slow moving hotel, but it's so intimate because you can just sit in the main community area, in the main living room area, if you will. You literally feel like you're in a living room, and you have all the glass windows and everything around you, and you're just literally watching all the beautiful sights and everything around you, and you're just taking it in. And then when the ship docks, you can literally, it just opens just like a hotel, glass door, sliding door. You just walk right off onto the sidewalk, and you're right in the middle of this city experiencing all it has to offer. But what I also loved about river cruising is that your shore excursions are included. So every day I got off the ship, I had bike riding, I had wine tasting, I had museums, and I got a chance to pick what I wanted to do, everything. I wasn't nickel to dime. It wasn't a part of an extra experience. And they really bring that cultural immersion to home. So you really get to meet the locals, to experience the local food, and live like a local. Because in a lot of river cruise experiences in certain destinations, you're also going to get a chance to stay overnight. So it's not like you're just there for a few hours. So, like in Amsterdam, we were there for a couple of days. I got a chance to get off the ship, go into Amsterdam, go and dine, walk along, check out the red light district just to see that, and, whatever I wanted to do. But at night, I got a chance to just walk back on, and my ship was my hotel for the night. So I've fallen in love with river cruising and Alma Waterways. I gotta say, they do an amazing job. So that's kind of a surprise for me. Another thing that I fell in love with, and comes from us filming too. Disney invited us to come on board the Disney Dream and film. And I'll be honest, originally I was like, how is this gonna look? I'm a freaking adult. I'll go and film Disney, right? How we gonna pull this off? But I will tell you, from the moment we walked on that ship, and they tell you, wait, with every person that walks on, they say, wait. So you're standing, get ready to enter, and all of a sudden the guy goes, welcome, the Denella Ri'Chard family. And and like you walk in the entrance, and Mickey and Minnie are there, and they're like, hey, and you're like, oh my God, Mickey, Minnie. And it's just like all of a sudden that kid, like joy comes through, right? Disney, the way they welcome you, the way they make you feel special, whether you're an adult or the kids, like they got that thing down. I mean, it was just an amazing, amazing experience that was unexpected. So when I tell you the Disney magic is real, the Disney magic is real all these years later. So that was one. And then lastly, when people ask me another personal vacation favorite, where do I like to go? And for the last, I'm going to say I'm going on over 25 years now, and this one has not changed. Negril, Jamaica, that 7 mile stretch of beach is still one of my favorite places to visit because I just love when I really want to relax in vacation. I go to Negril, I get out there on a float, and I'll fall asleep because the water is just so calm. It's like you're in a little water bed. It's not like you're in a water bed. It's pristine, it's beautiful. And Jamaica is a Black country, as we all know. And as Black people, oh, they just make you feel like family. It's like you're with family. So the Jamaicans, Jamaica just does it right when it comes to tourism. And for those that are like, but what if I don't have a passport? I would say, get one. But the destination, if you do not have a passport, even if you do, the other one, I gotta tell you, this one was new for me. I fell in love with St. John, U.S. Virgin Islands. St. John. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely beautiful. You gotta check out St. John's. And my favorite place to stay there is Gallows Point, because Gallows Point, they have townhomes there that are individually owned, but you rent them out and you really feel like you're in your home away from home. So if you've always dreamed of having a place in the Caribbean and you can't afford one just yet, because I don't have one of my own just yet.
Just yet.
Okay. But when I want to feel like that, St. John is my home away from home at Gallows Point.
This has been so enjoyable. Thank you so much, Denella, for sharing your passion with us and for sharing the unique ways you're helping people make the most of the time we've been given by helping us see the world and connect with other cultures. And thank you all for watching On the Clock. We'll see you next time as we continue to talk about working with purpose and living with passion.